Hey there, baseball fans, and welcome to the latest episode of Coffee and Curveballs. As you can see, we got a special episode today. The three-headed monster is up. I'm Nathan Rohde, and David Seifert, as well as Shooter Hunt, are joining us today to talk a little bit about summer college action. Shooter, I know you're excited. You love college baseball. Seifert, you have been running around the country all summer at the summer college leagues, watching the top players. So we're going to definitely pick your brain about what you saw. So, Shooter, I mean, you're fired up, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, the summer before your junior year really puts you on the map going forward for the draft. And Site's going to tell us in a minute, these guys are really making some noise and going through the fall. They'll get a few outings, get some at-bats, and then into the spring. But these are the names you need to be following.
Mm-hmm. And, Seif, why don't you just tell us real quick before we get into some of these, specific categories, how's the outlook on the 2019 college class?
Overall, I think it's the bats ahead of the arms. There's a lot of bats. I think there's a lot of really good bats, top-end bats, some depth bats, for the third, fourth round. And then on the pitching side, there's a lot of big arms. I mean, I saw he's not eligible this year, but I saw an arm, a sophomore, touch 102. But then you got a lot of other big arms, too, upper 90s. A lot of them are relievers. So I think overall the 2019 pitching class is a little down on starters. But I think as far as big arms, it's got some big arms.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, let's start off with a couple of hitters, that were standouts for you this summer. You got the obvious ones like Adley Rutschman and Andrew Vaughn. We'll get into those guys in the podcast, talk about what you saw from them. But we want to talk about guys that, really stood out and kind of established themselves as prospects. And the breakout player of the summer from the hitting side, according to D1Baseball.com, was Austin Shenton, who plays for Florida International. He's from the Pacific Northwest. Tell us, what did you see out of Shenton?
Shenton's a 6 foot, 200-pound, strong-bodied guy. Really controls the barrel really, really well. I mean, doesn't get fooled much. He has good balance. But I think the biggest thing about him, and he stays connected really well. And he doesn't lose the barrel. So when you don't lose the barrel and you're connected, you're going to have hard contact all fields. And he does a really good job. And he definitely broke out. Being a West Coast guy, playing at Florida International. He actually played his freshman year at a junior college in the state of Washington and then went to Florida International. So he's still somewhat new to scouts on the East Coast and certainly took this Cape Cod League by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. FIU has a really good young nucleus, and to have a hitter like that to pack right in the middle of a lineup is going to really help them this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good to see Shenton's bat, is coming along the way that we thought it would. I saw him as a high schooler. You mentioned he is from Washington. He did do that freshman year at Bellevue Community College. But he's playing, for Florida International, where Jared Goodwin is the recruiting coordinator. He played for Jared as a high schooler on the travel team FTB. So there's a really good familiarity between player and coach there. And Shenton's always hit. There may be a question about a position, but dude can really, really rake at the plate. So, but kind of in a similar boat, from what I understand, is Michael Bush. There might be some questions about where he's going to end up defensively, but it doesn't matter. It's really about the bat for him.
Exactly. If you can hit like those two guys, they're going to find you a position. I'm surprised Bush hit really, really well. I mean, he's the same guy he was in the spring. He's just strong. He has bat speed. He has balance. He's just up there to mash. I mean, he's got the hitter mentality. Surprising, they had him playing second base, which he looked very much out of place at second base. But it was probably good for him in the long run. Help his feet develop a little bit, certainly help his hand just with the reps. At the end of the day, he's going to be a 6 foot first baseman who can mash. Not quite Andrew Vaughn, but Bush is no slouch. He's impressive. Like I said, this spring for UNC and also this summer in the Cape.
Mm-hmm. And now let's move to Shooter's favorite part of the baseball diamond and the pitchers. The breakout pitcher for the summer, according to D1 Baseball, was Alek Manoah, who's just a giant dude on the mound. I mean, he's a presence just standing out there. He's from Florida, was a late commit to West Virginia, and now he's really developed into a dude.
He did. I saw it before my own eyes, too, out there. I actually saw two starts about a week apart from him. The first one, he sat 94, 96, showed an above-average slider. He'd flash an above-average slider. They swung and missed occasionally at it, and it played pretty good. And I think he threw about 5 innings. I saw him a week later, and he was touching 97, still sitting 94, 96 with the fastball. The fastball is really late life, getting swings and misses. But then he started throwing a plus slider, and some were even better than plus. I don't really throw around the 70 grade, the plus grade too often, but he was throwing it that night, and he was on. So now he's throwing the slider down. He's throwing the fastball up. He's just getting swing and misses on everything. I think he struck out maybe 12 in his sixth. I think he struck out 12 in 6 innings. He was just untouchable.
How about that? Rolling in Big 12 Friday nights, coming to Morgantown, light drizzle, about 55 degrees under the lights, and it's just bearing down on you and throwing filthy sliders.
Yeah, I really hope that he's that same guy. He'd really add nice starting pitcher selection, I guess you could say, to the overall draft. I know there are a lot of question marks about him. I mean, all of a sudden he hasn't done it for 2 years, and all of a sudden, boom, for 2 months in the summer he does it. But he was really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And speaking of big sliders, a guy right in my backyard that I saw a little bit with Duke, but also, Seif, you and I watched him with Team USA, Graham Stinson has got a dirty slider.
Yeah, his slider is every bit as good, if not better, than Manoah's. I mean, it's obviously coming from a different arm, but they're both just big-bodied guys that have a mid-upper 90s fastball and a unhittable at times slider. Again, I was lucky to see Stinson twice as well, both times actually for Team USA. The first time he was okay. He showed you the 70 quality break out of the slider and showed you the 96, the 70 fastball velocity. But he kind of scattered his pitches. His second outing, though, man, he was unbelievable. He struck out 7 in 2 1/3 innings and was absolutely dominant. Every slider was 70 quality. Every slider was down with depth. Really impressive outing. I think that was against the Chinese Taipei team when he did that.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That was a really dominant outing. Looking forward to seeing him in my backyard with Duke. They're going to have a pretty good rotation, it sounds like. Graham Stinson's little brother is coming in as a freshman as well, and he's no slouch either. So
your boy Last too.
Yeah, Blue Devils looking pretty good on the mound. So, Seif, let's talk. The category of sleepers. Some guys that might not be as heralded right now, but guys that you liked from the summer. You've got Andrew Lipsius of Tennessee, and then also Louis Varland from Concordia St. Paul. So we're going small college too. So what do you got on those guys?
I'm going to start with the hitter. I'll let Shooter pipe in on the pitcher later, but I'll start with the hitter, Lipsius. I saw him this spring at Ole Miss when Tennessee came to Ole Miss, and he was playing shortstop. And he's a bigger guy, 6'1", 205. So his foot quickness is below average, but he took such great angles to the ball. He actually had above average range for that 3-game series, from what I saw at Ole Miss. And I didn't really know anything about him, but apparently he played first base the year before for Tennessee because a guy named Senzel was the shortstop, and they had was third baseman, and then Senzel had to slide over to short when their shortstop got hurt. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so he caught my eye as a shortstop in the spring, but he mostly played first base in the Cape, and obviously he's a plus defender at first base. I mean, he was solid at shortstop for me. At a pro level, he's probably not going to have the range, so he's going to be a second baseman, maybe even a third baseman. But I just like how he hits. He has a polished swing. You see him in BP. He's one of the few guys that can start his first round. He's going to hit everything to right field on the line. Then he'll do it to center field, and then he'll do kind of spray the ball, hit it where it's pitched. And his last round, he'll just show you how much power he has. It's a professional BP. And he's one of the very few guys, whether it's spring or summer, that can take, bat to ball consistently line drive. So he's just an impressive hitter for me. Tool-wise, kind of just ordinary. He doesn't do anything great, but nothing's poor. And he's hit 2 years in the SEC. He's probably going to hit a third year in the SEC, and those guys go a lot higher than, on draft day, those guys really rise.
Mm-hmm. Something to be said for performing in the SEC, no doubt about that. So, but then what do you got on our Concordia St. Paul guy?
On to Louis Varland. Louis Varland, it's the Major League Baseball Dream Showcase in the Northwoods League. It's a great look every year, but it's also a tough look because you see one inning, you see a guy going out there just humping up for 12, 15 pitches, kind of like a high school showcase. But so I don't know if the 90 to 94, I think he touched 95 on the day, is real, if that's what he's going to go out in the spring and pitch with. But I do know I saw an above average plus slider. I do know I saw an athletic kid with a good delivery, good arm action, good arm speed. So, I mean, he has all the qualities we're looking for. Not sure if that velocity, if he's going to pitch at 90, 94 in Minnesota in 32 degrees with little sleet snow falling during the spring. But, it's a good arm and it's a good athlete. He was very impressive.
Get him in that Vikings dome.
Oh, get them inside? Yeah. Well, we could see that in February, but then they actually go outside in April, shooter, so it's a little different ball game then.
Excellent. Well, that's a good look, brief look, but good at some of the summer college stuff that David Seifert. You're still churning stuff out, with the top prospects from the Cape League. Obviously the Northwoods League gets a lot of good coverage, and other leagues as well. So be sure to check out prepbaseballreport.com as well as d1baseball.com for all that great content. You're going to be rolling it out for a while, I would imagine.
Yeah, we were in the Cape for over 2 weeks, so we've got plenty of content from the Cape left, and our rankings are coming out on a daily basis right now. So it's been a lot of fun. It was a great summer, and it's great to write about these guys and look at the video again and just kind of keep them fresh.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. So keep an eye out for that. Also, we got the PBR Fall Championships coming up this weekend in Indianapolis. David, you will be there, not only checking out that, but as well as a junior college event going on, so there will be coverage from that. I'll be there as well if I can get out. Hurricane Florence might have other ideas, so fingers crossed. We'll see if I can get out of here. But as always, stay tuned to prepbaseballreport.com. We'll have a lot more on a podcast. If you like the show, be sure to click subscribe. But for David Seifert and Shooter Hunt, I'm Nathan Rohde. This was Coffee and Curveballs, and until next time, we'll see you guys at the ballpark.